Hello everyone, it's Jamie, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and Jenny Chen on Wagner today. And please bear with my videography here. I did what I could. But anyways, I'm just going to give a brief overview and brief biography on Wagner, and we'll go over more of his music and the technicalities of all that in class. So let's get going. He was born in 1813 in Germany, in Leipzig, Germany. And he was the 9th child of a police actuary. And he began writing operas in the early 1830s. And at this time he was in Dresden and Leipzig, Germany. He moved around a lot though too. He went to France and other countries as well. And his earliest works include piano pieces and overtures and one symphony. In the early 1830s, 1836 to be exact, he met and married Minna Planner, and she was a soprano working at the same regional opera company as he was. And so they married. They were married for 30 years until her death in 1866. But kind of a sad yet interesting true fact here is that while being married, he did maintain many relationships with women. He was definitely a ladies' man. And even after her death, then he remarried and had 3 children with his wife, but still had relationships outside of marriage. So that was Wagner. Anyways, the picture up on top is him and his family. The bottom right one is a younger version of him, and the house that you see pictured there is supposedly his house that he grew up in Germany. All right, Wagner is known as the servant of drama, and he created the term music drama, which was the belief that the function of music was to serve dramatic expression. And this was kind of birthed out of his seeing Beethoven's Ninth Symphony live. Once he saw that symphony, he made the statement that he was Beethoven's true successor, which is a rather bold statement to make. But in his essay, The Artwork of the Future, in 1850, Wagner argued that the last symphony had already been written in reference to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. According to Wagner, purely instrumental music after Beethoven was sterile, and only artwork that combined all forms of art were worthwhile and worth creating. And so this idea is kind of wrapped up in the phrase Gesamtkunstwerk. I hope I pronounced that relatively right. It means total or collective work, and it just means to describe the oneness in music and drama put together. And so Wagner's idea was that the orchestra conveys the inner aspect of the drama, and then the words sung and the acting articulate the outer aspect. And he says that man can only be satisfied in the union of all art varieties. So just this very new 20th century, pre-20th century, although it bridged the gap there, the idea that without several forms of art combined into one, music really doesn't have as much meaning, because the best, like he felt, was Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. The best had already been done. So you kind of have to one-up that. You have to do even better. And Wagner's writings, including The Artwork of the Future, which I already mentioned, and opera and drama, also proclaimed that music and drama could help reform society. And so it was just the idea that using this music and this drama to bring about more refined, newer ideas, newer techniques, and just to really just create this fresh, fresh approach, I would say, to drama and music as a combined form of art. And at the bottom there it says the use of leitmotifs, or leitmotifs. It means the leading motive, as an organizing principle. And this is something that Wagner did a lot. It is the idea that musical dramas are organized around numbers of musical themes and motives that are associated with a particular person, a thing, or an emotion, or an idea. And so this is something that Wagner, you see a lot in his music, is where like this melodic line or something will keep reoccurring every time a certain character comes on, or voices a line from one of the play, or something of that nature. And so let's move on to Tristan and Isolde, one of his most famous operas. This was based on a 13th century romance, and it was published in 1860 and premiered in Munich on June 10th of 1865, sponsored by King Ludwig II. And like many operas, or any composer really that tries to bring about something new, This opera was considered too novel and complex at first for most audiences, but through subsequent performances and such, it became to be regarded as one of the most important and influential operas that were ever composed. And I'm sure you're pretty familiar with the story of just the knight Tristan and the princess, and how he offends her, and so she wants him to, although she's in love with him, she finds it necessary that they both die, and so they die by this drink of atonement, and that idea. But I want to just focus on a piece of the music where you see one of those leitmotifs for the character Tristan. And every time Tristan sings a certain piece regarding his honor, we highlighted it there, you can kind of see, but every time he speaks of honor or of the highest truth, then you'll see that motive take place. And so we'll touch on that more as we discuss in the morning. Just want to move on real quickly just to his death and his legacy. Towards the end of his life, Wagner dreamed of having a permanent festival for his operas, and so he began to build this festival theater in northern Germany near his home in 1872. And so he performed, his first opera was performed in 1872, and then a second one performed in 1882. But sadly, only a year later, Wagner suffered a heart attack, and then he died. And so pictured there is his home, and that's in northern Germany in a city, I believe, called Bayreuth. And that is where he is buried. It's now a museum. And so yes, in northern Germany. I just want to end with a quote, and you'll see that pictured by him at the bottom there. It says, "Even if I know I shall never change the masses, never transform anything permanent, all I ask is that good things also have their place, their refuge." So that really just, in essence, describes Wagner and his ideals and what he felt his music was to society. He felt that maybe it doesn't please everyone, or maybe it's rather new and very 20th century, so not what was to be expected, but he did deserve that it had its place. And so he was definitely right as music continues, as we continue on with the history. All right, well, that's all. Be sure to check out the YouTube that I'm having Dr. Reid also post from the opera, just a little clip to give you an idea. And I'll see you in the morning. Bye.